Hi, I'm Sandi Genovese, and today we are making a birthday card that's cleverly disguised as a mobile. If you look here, you can see that the one that we're going to make today is actually the shape of a birthday cake with candles and all that fun stuff on the top, and the base of it is a cake plate. And I've got the fan going just low so that it will be moving in the breeze, and you can see how fun this is once it's actually hanging up. Because it's created in layers, it's very easy to take the whole thing and stack it up and put it into, this one fits into a number 10 size envelope, which is really handy. And then I'll show you a bunch of other shapes that you can make as well. In order to create this one, I started with the base, which was a cake plate. And what I did was I created a pattern. Now, in order to make the pattern, I started with just a rectangle of paper. And the rectangle was 3.5 inches tall, and it was 9 inches wide, and it was just one big white rectangle out of just copy paper. Then I went back and I used a 1-inch edge here for the top of the cake plate. And after I came in an inch, I cut out this arc in order to create what looks like the cake plate's shape. I only had to do one side. Once I did one side, then I folded it right down the middle and traced so that I would make sure that I had a cake plate that was symmetrical. In order for this mobile to move in the breeze freely, this shape and all of the rectangles that are the cakes need to be symmetrical, and they need to be hung right down with the thread right down the middle. Otherwise, if it's one edge is lopsided, it will run into the layer above or below it. So once you have the pattern, then you go back with red. I use cardstock, and it was 3.5 wide by 9 inches long. I laid it down and used this to trace around it in order to cut it out and to get two of the cake plate shape. Now, they're going to be stuck together, and I'm going to sandwich the thread in the middle, but it's much easier to decorate all the layers while they're still in loose like this and not all attached together. So if you look back at mine, you can see that my cake plate is created using a deeper shade of red to create stripes on the plate portion, and the stand portion is done using another color and punched polka dots. This is a little bit of time that it takes to create these layers. If you want to hurry up the process, you can just use a watermark ink pad. Here I've got a stamp that I've made, and I've just used my Sizzix die cutter to cut out circles. I've placed it onto an old film canister in order to create my polka dots, and then I'm just going to ink it up. This happens to be creating larger size polka dots. Either way, it's very fun. Now I'm going to just go ahead and create dots on the whole pattern. You could also use the same rubber to create stripes so that you could have the striped pattern on the top of the cake plate as well. But depending on how much time you want to spend, inking it is a lot faster. Once you've got both sides of the cake plate decorated, put that aside, and let's look at the layers of the cake itself. Now, my bottom two layers are 1.25 inches wide, this one and this one. And then the next 3 layers are 1 inch wide. And the length, it starts with 7 inches for the base, and then it goes to 6, and then 5, then 4, and then 3. And you do need to mark the middle of each one of these layers, because as I said, when you position the thread, it has to be placed down the middle so that all of these layers will move freely. So in order to make it look even more like a cake, if you look at this, you can see that I have the top edge rounded like the cake looks when it comes out of the oven. So I've already rounded the edges on all of them except one, so that I can show you how all I need to do is just take my corner rounder, and it's positioned so that when I place this into the punch, I get a nice rounded edge. And by doing the same thing on all the layers, that means they're all going to have matching rounded edges. Now, you would go back and you would decorate each one of these. If you look back at mine, you can see that all I've done is use the same geometric patterns. I've got stripes and polka dots, and I've just used two different shades of brown, sometimes a third shade, in order to create the patterns that you see on both sides of the layers of this cake. I'm not going to stop to add geometric patterns because I know that you won't have a hard time doing that. Let's look at putting all the layers together. We're going to wait and do the candles at the very end. I usually start with my mobile with the bottom. So I'm going to take and I'm going to put adhesive. Now you're going to want more than this. I definitely want to make sure I have plenty of adhesive down the middle because that is where the thread's going to go. Now I'm not going to bother to put more adhesive than this just because I don't want to take up your time. You're going to want solid adhesive. And then I've got thread, and the thread that I'm using is that thicker button thread or quilting thread. You want to make sure that you have the middle, and I can, because of the design, I can see what is the middle to this design. If you choose to make a cake stand that has more detail, then you might want to mark with pencil the middle. Once you have it in the middle, you can place the other one directly over the top. I cut them out together. I cut two at one time, so they should really align well. And then go ahead and fasten that together, and you have the beginning, what will be the base of the mobile. Now to add the layers of the cake, the next layer is going to be the largest, and notice that I've got marked the center. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll place my adhesive, and remember you're going to use more adhesive than this, and yours is going to have decoration on the front and the back of this. Leave a little bit of thread so that there's room for it to move. Don't have it come in, have a little bit of thread spacing here. And then put that right over the pencil line that was the midpoint, and then go back with the matching layer of the cake. Place that over the top and press down, and you have that layer. I'm going to continue, and I'm going to do the same thing with each of the successive layers of the cake. Now as I'm getting to the top layer of the cake, I'm going to go ahead and attach it in the same way with adhesive and putting my thread so that it lines up with that pencil line that I placed right in the middle. And then placing, I'm going to put a little more adhesive on this because my finger pulled some of the adhesive off when I stuck the thread down. Align this over the top. Now, in order to get the candles, those are stickers, and I'm doing those at the end because they're going to come out the top, and it's kind of difficult to have the stickers. They want to stick to the background while you're working on this, unless you put the backside of it right away, which you can't do until you have all of these attached. So I'm going to take and I'll place, I'm not going to put as many candles as I would really create on mine. I'll just do a few to give you the idea, but I'll put one, I'll put a second one, and this time I think I'll trim it so it's shorter. And then I will pick another one. Maybe I'll leave this one longer as well. Now, because it's sticky on the back, you're going to want to turn it over. And I don't have to turn the whole cake over. I'll just turn this one over so that I can pick the mirror image sticker and place it on the back. So I need to find the mirror image sticker for that one, which looks to me like it's this. So I just have the sticky sides together, and then the green one, remember I trimmed that off, so I'm going to trim off the one that's going to stick over the top of that as well, and then line that up so it matches with the one underneath. And then I need to find one that's going this way. I think I'm looking at this, the way the flame goes, in order to figure out which is the one that must be the mirror image of it. So then that goes there. And then in order to have this look a little more finished, I went ahead and I'm going to put another shade of brown as part of the decoration on the cake and just cover up the base of those candles. If I turn this back around, I can probably just fold this. This paper is paper that I've run through the Xyron machine, so it's got adhesive already on it, which really makes it handy. And I'll go ahead, go right to the edge, trim off the excess. And now I've got the candles. You have to imagine that you've decorated all the other layers. And then the final element is the tag. Now the tag is placed, how much room you leave, how much thread you leave is based on where you think you're going to want to hang the mobile. If it's hanging from the ceiling, you might want a lot of thread. If it's going to hang from a light fixture, you might just want a little bit of thread. But you go ahead and you write your message on the tag, add any decoration onto the tag, and then just go ahead and tie a double knot with the thread. Because there's a hole in the tag shape, it doesn't have to be doubled. It's just tied, as I said, into a double knot. I'll trim off the extra. And look, when I pull this up, how cool is this? You can see how quickly and easily you could put together a really fun mobile that's birthday cake shaped. And when you look back at the finished one, you can see by the time you add all the decoration, it's really cool. Now I mentioned that you don't have to do birthday. You could do any holiday, any special event, or you could pick a different theme for birthday. Here's one that I've done, and this time it's in a different envelope. The layers are stacked, which is why it's easy enough to put it into an envelope. Here's my tag with the birthday message, and instead of being a cake, this one is shaped like a balloon. And this is done with purple and red as the two colors that I've used to create the mobile shape for that. I'll bring one up and show you for my Christmas card one year. I don't want to ruin the suspense, but the same idea, but this time it's a tree. And it has even, you know, like at the bottom it has the pot that the tree is going to sit in. And because these layers fold up, it's not difficult to put them in any different size and shape of envelope. Here is one that I did as a Valentine, and it is, oddly enough, in the shape of a heart. And you can see that I just used 2 shades of pink and 2 shades of red in order to make that one happen. Now, if you want to really spend some time, here is a larger heart with more smaller hearts hanging off the bottom. This, my dad would call this the oh for Pete's sake size heart mobile. And the final one that I'll show you is a star, which could be great for graduation or any special thing where you want to say someone's done a really good job. You see how the shape can be any fun shape. You just need to be able to go back and to cut that shape into layers. And look what you get. You know, a mobile, it takes up really no table space at all. You just hang it up and you let the breeze turn it into a moving display, and that's perfect for any occasion.